Hi guys, my name is Riley Grant, and today I'll be talking about the documentary film The Redfern Story in terms of using it as a teaching resource in a visual arts classroom. I'll be talking about three key points, which include the overview of the film itself, relating the film to the visual arts syllabus, and a few issues to do with presenting this in a classroom. So firstly, the documentary film The Redfern Story was released in 2014 and was directed and written by Darlene Johnson. It depicts the rise of events leading up to the first all-Aboriginal theatre company, the National Black Theatre, located in Redfern, Sydney. The film is produced through a mixture of interviews with people who worked with Bob Mazza and who were directly involved in the Black Theatre and were instrumental in shaping and bringing about significant social change. They include academics such as Marcia Langton and Gary Foley. These interviews are then intertwined with historical footage shot during the 1970s, which documented the history of the culture within Redfern. The dialogue includes the issues of racism between the Indigenous and non-Indigenous, and the battle between police. It delves into how, through protest, became performative art in terms of dance, which ended up being the beginning of the National Black Theatre. So onto the aspect of using this resource with reference to the visual arts syllabus. On the practical side of visual art, this documentary can be used in the practice section of the syllabus. The practice is the physical element of producing artwork. This documentary includes many different film techniques that can be employed in future body of works. The black and white film technique used throughout the movie was due to lack of technology to apply colour. But this can be used in an artistic sense in order to present an artwork to be perceived as old-fashioned. The use of the focus applied to the person during each interview is a common occurrence in filmmaking, as it illuminates the subject and provides a clear indication of what the focal point is in a particular scene. Through elaborating on these points, you can perform a class exercise which begins with a constructive discussion to positive and negatives of the film techniques used in the documentary, then move on to an exercise in which students group up and produce a short film set in the 1970s. A major element in the visual arts syllabus is a conceptual framework and frames. This is primarily the concept behind the artwork. When using this documentary as a teaching resource, you will need to aim your thoughts at world, which is in the conceptual framework, and the cultural frame, which is in the frames. These are both quite similar as they focus on the relationship between the art and the world around them, and also the response they are looking for from their audience. When incorporating this film, it is important to look at the importance and considerations of the land. To do this, you must inform students about the significance of Aboriginal custodianship of their area, which in this instance is Redfern. In a visual arts perspective, this section could be useful in terms of gaining an understanding of the cultural change in terms of the land between rural and city, which comes under the cultural frame when building conceptual idea for an artwork. In particular, focusing on the social and cultural perspectives of the Aboriginal people during this time. So using this documentary as an academic resource in a visual arts curriculum can positively inform a connection between rural and city to be combined in a thoughtfully conceptualized artwork. And finally, there are a few issues that must be addressed to ensure that there are no negative outcomes from using this source for a teaching purpose. Throughout the documentary, there's a clear issue in terms of the relationship between the Aborigines and the police. Through many direct quotes, such as "it was a crime to be black," it clearly indicates the racism and political anarchy that Indigenous people were subjected to, which in turn dispossessed them of their rights. It is important when elaborating on this issue within a classroom environment to be considerate over the effects it may harm to Indigenous students, as it's been a historical problem throughout their culture, and to also focus on what all the students around them are doing and watching out for any negative remarks and anything that can interrupt the class. So finally, when using this documentary in an appropriate way, as I've just explained, it can be a very beneficial and useful resource in a visual arts classroom. Thanks.